Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services in Eastland, Texas. Tune in every week as we share important information to help you and your family live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, legacy and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
Welcome to Life Planning 101. My name is Angela Robinson with Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group in Eastland, Texas. And happy 4th to you. Happy Independence Day. I sure hope you enjoyed this beautiful holiday of sun, fun, and often family and fireworks. Lots of F's in that if you really think about it. But while we're on the F's, I want to tell you about Farmer Fred. So he's sitting along the highway and this car pulls along and they're on a summer vacation tour, and the dad asks, "Are we on the right road to Pflugerville?" And he says, "Yes, you are." And as they're rolling up the windows and heading off, he also said, "But you're headed the wrong way." I think we've all been there if we've taken a road trip or two with our dads, right? There's a time when dads know best, and by the time you actually get them to pull over and ask for directions, they really might not want to listen because they didn't want to ask for directions in the first place. That's just dads. But I am going to talk about today 5 hidden dollar dings in post-pandemic America. My gosh, I could have made that a little bit of an easier title. 5 hidden dollar dings in post-pandemic America. So I know what you're thinking. Well, COVID isn't over yet. In fact, I've actually talked to a few people that have been out there traveling and they come back and they're COVID bound. And yeah, we're certainly in a world that isn't quite yet post-COVID, but we are in a world that is certainly getting into a new rhythm. And it looks a lot more normal than what the past couple years have looked like. I can't say that it actually looks like what it did pre-COVID because it's really not true, but it looks more normal. And with that being said, over the past couple years, Americans have made some huge changes in a short period of time. I bet there's been lots of people stopping to ask for directions. Why? Well, many companies went virtual in 2020, right? They just sent everybody home and said, you're going to work from home. In fact, we figure we're kind of lucky because we already knew what that was like. We were already working a lot virtually and our company had been for over a decade, but this was a new rodeo for a lot of people. But it also gave these employees the opportunity to move outside of the chaos. The cities that they worked in and then they go outside the city to play in, right? They were able to permanently be in the area to play in, whether it was the suburbs, whether it was more rural areas or rural towns, or even outside the state in a lot of circumstances. And in addition to that, if you weren't one of those employees that was just enjoying being able to have some new scenery in your life, a lot of Americans said it is time to throw in the towel. Now, I can understand that being in the financial world. There was a lot thrown at us. I mean, we had just gotten what was called the Secure Act in 2019, and then COVID hit, and then all this regulation just started pouring out of Washington. And I know every accountant, every CPA out there, when you couple that to the tax reform in 2016, we're going, holy smokes, I feel like I'm all over in school again. And I don't think it was just our industry. I think, we slowed down for a whole hot second in a COVID world. And then we got really busy, really, really busy. We found out that being virtual made us only faster and it made the world faster. And we didn't say, whoa, we didn't say slow down. We didn't pull those reins back, so to speak. And a lot of Americans said, it's time. I'm throwing in the towel. I'm done. I'm ready to retire. I don't care if I have to live a little less lavishly. Well, maybe they weren't having to live a little less lavishly when the market's going up like crazy as it was during this period of time. Sell their business. They said it's time. I'm able to get ridiculous prices for my business or my real estate or my ranch, whatever it is. But we have seen more transition, I know personally, and then just reading things. We've seen more transition in these past 2 years. It would be phenomenal to see some statistics to see if this was actually one of the greatest financial transitions in all of history. And I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised in the least whatsoever. So I guess drastic times calls for drastic measures. Right? And I think that's true, but I also think we kind of had like this little wake up call and we got our priorities in better order or tried to get our priorities in better order. And, really, I guess all that doesn't matter because here we are today. It has been quite a 2 years, quite a ride. And change is happening. Change is continuing to happen. I mean, what is this thing called inflation? I mean, if you don't have gray hair, you don't really know what that is because you don't remember what that is, right? And then all of a sudden you're having to learn what that is and what's causing it and how's it ever going to stop? Is it ever going to stop? Oh my gosh, I want to buy a house. I've been talking to young people just in the last couple of weeks, and every one of them are really concerned about being able to purchase a home today, if ever. And, especially with rising interest rates now, it's just become unaffordable, and they don't know if it's ever going to stop. And I think that's a question in a lot of people's minds is what is going on here? So behind all of this change, and anytime there's change, there's also hidden things that just start coming out of the woodwork, and you don't know it often until it's too late. So what we want to do is we want to talk about 5 of the biggest dollar dings, as we would call it, in this post-pandemic America that we've seen because of change. And people just don't know until it's painful, right? So you're not going to want to miss this episode on Life Planning 101. But before we take a quick break, I want to remind you, be going to our website. I know these times are a very volatile markets. The economy is very volatile. The inflation is crazy. And we have started every Friday putting out what's called Black and White Market Chatter with our very own CFA, Aaron Kennedy, and his investment team. And Matt Irvin joins them as a CFP. And it's some really great information. Just a little update of whether you should jump in, jump out, so to speak, of these markets and what the heck is going on. And I know it's on top of everybody's mind. So make sure you're subscribed to our podcasts. Make sure you're getting our newsletters because we do coin a lot of material ourselves. So it's not just some canned material. It's relevant to what's going on today, very valuable. And you can find all of that at www.kennedy-financial.com. Again, www.kennedy-financial.com. So when we come back, it is the 5 hidden dollar dings in post-pandemic America right here on Life Planning 101. Welcome back to Life Planning 101. My name is Angela Robinson with Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group. And I want to tell you about a little tourist headed to Canada. It's the summer months. I like summer stories, right? And this gentleman, he gets up there, and I don't know about you, I kind of always sweat when I get in front of officials. I don't know if it's my time in Nigeria when I was trying to get home and cook. I don't know what it is, but I just kind of get this little, tense sensation, these tingly feelings, and apparently this guy's no different. So he pulls up, and they're just asking him some questions, and he's got several kids in the back, and they ask him what the name of his kids are, and he went blank. Completely blank. Couldn't answer the question for just a minute. And by the time he was able to kind of regain his thinking and answer the question, they decided that, nope, that's not enough. Is he trying to kidnap these kids? So they took him in. 15 hours later, they finally got to cross the border. So I tell you that, although it's really, really funny. But I think that's kind of the feeling that we all get when, we have these big surprises in life that we weren't expecting. These dollar dings, so to speak, can do the same thing to us when we think everything's rosy and life is great. And then all of a sudden, boom. And you're like that sweating bullets feeling, whoo, it's a worst. So my goal today on Life Planning 101 is to help you avoid these dollar dings if you haven't already gone through them. So we talked a little bit in the first segment about, many companies going virtual, right? Oh, no, I'm not starting with that. I'm going to end with that one. Okay, let's see here. All right, so we're going to give you 5 hidden dollar dings. Let's start with this one. The world. It's certainly more convenient than it was in 2019. If we didn't get one thing out of COVID, we got the luxury of convenience. Now, why in the world would you ever go into a grocery store again when you're a mom with small children and you can shop with a glass of wine on your porch? Why? Why would you do that? It's just the best thing known to man. And I can speak from personal experience there, right? I love actually shopping online now because I can get everything done just at night and it's nice and peaceful and quiet. And then I don't have to go into another set of chaos of going in. Of course, I live in Eastland, Texas, so we've got 2 stores, Walmart and Berkshire's, and they're both packed and you see everybody that you know. Love everybody that I know. But as a mom, you kind of want that peace and quiet. So it is a convenience factor. Need something, but don't want to drive? Don't worry. Amazon can deliver same day, right? In certain instances, it's impressive what's going on in the way of delivery and convenience. You know, I just sometimes can't get over that things could be on your doorstep that night when you order them that morning and you don't have time to run to the store. And then on top of this, there's that series or that new movie that everybody is just talking about. Well, you don't have it? Don't worry, just subscribe to ... right? It's definitely more convenient of a world than it was in 2019, but it's certainly not cheaper. And I'm not talking about inflation. Let's just forget that for a minute. In fact, let's just forget that for the episode. Wouldn't it be great if we just say forget that entirely? Can't do that. But you are paying for convenience in many cases. So let's look at a little price comparison. I actually started doing this. I had some time because I thought, gosh, that looks expensive. And I think about inflation. Oh, see, I already did it. I already talked about it. But I thought that looks expensive. So then I get on Walmart and I see, okay, that's a lot cheaper there. So do a little price comparison and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. You are paying for that convenience and you'd be surprised how much you're actually overpaying to get that same day delivery when it says free delivery because you're a Prime member, right? And then how many subscriptions do you end up getting locked into? How many things are on your phone that you're paying for that you're really not using anymore? Well, it might be worth your while to refigure out the cost of living in a post-pandemic world. What is actually a need? What is actually a want? A convenience is a want, not necessarily a need. And I know everybody's been trying to tighten their budgets, especially, oh, here I go again. I'm going to say it with the inflation going on. Well, here's definitely one way to do it is just look at how you can go back to doing some things the old way. It doesn't hurt you to get a little exercise and walk around the store. It actually save you calories, not drinking the wine and walking around the store at the same time. That'd be a little bit better. But in reality, there are some things to look at there. And, you know, I would encourage everybody to look at what it costs to live. Make sure you have a good grasp on that. Why is that important? Well, let's back up for a second because, you know, we live in a day and age that everything's electronic and you certainly don't keep a ledger and you don't keep, you know, your budget by hand a lot of times anymore, but it doesn't make it any less important because if you don't know what you're spending, you don't know if you're able to do Yep, that's right. Anything. You don't know because you don't know where you're at and you don't know what it takes to support where you're at. So it all starts with your budget. So that is really important. Now, let's go to number 4, the number 4 hidden dollar ding in a post-pandemic America. Well, we actually published this back in February in an article that we coined 3 New Risks to Your Retirement. And it is called The Great Relocation. Yes. The effect of migration, all this migration on your retirement is huge. Now, it depends on where you live now. It depends on where you're going to live in retirement. It depends on what the population is doing, how politics are changing, how severe impacts are going to be on your retirement plan. You may live in a low-cost town in a low-cost state that is experiencing rapid population growth. I actually get to witness this quite a bit in Montana. We have a lot of family members that are in a little bitty town right outside of Bozeman called Three Forks, Montana. Great little country western town, but it is exploding and so are the prices. It's unbelievable. So, you know, it translates to a not so low cost retirement when you think you are going to have a low cost retirement or could live off of this. You need to pay attention to what is going on around you and what is going on in the areas that these things are happening. There was this really cool chart that I pulled up and I was able to see, you know, the migration and where the states, where people are moving out of and where they're going into, what the, you know, voting look like, what the taxes look like. Know all of that because if you're planning to be somewhere for a long time, it's going to have an impact on your checkbook. It just, do you want it to be positive or negative? And make sure that it is that. So that is number 4. Now, when we come back here on Life Planning 101, we are going to mention the top 5 dollar dings in a post-pandemic America, and you're not going to want to miss it. Welcome back to Life Planning 101. My name is Angela Robinson with Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group. And as I mentioned in the first segment of the show, if you are not listening to Black and White Market Chatter every Friday, you need to be listening to Black and White Market Chatter every Friday. I don't know about you, but there might be just a little bit going on in the markets today that you want to know what's going on. So there's no better way to do that. Be sure to go to our website and subscribe at www.kennedy-financial.com. But in the meantime, I have a question for you. How many times do you want to pay tax? Yeah, it's kind of a trick question. Of course, everybody's going to say none, right? Well, you might be paying 3 levels of taxation if you had this dollar ding in post-pandemic America. So let me give you this scenario, okay? Your company goes virtual, and you decide to move outside the state and get some fresh mountain air. Well, many states have started shaking their finger, saying that you can't work for an employer in our state and not pay state income tax. Of course, California is one of these states. And at the same time, the resident state that you're in wants their fair share too. So the result is not pretty. Now, this isn't happening everywhere yet, but there's legislation hanging and lingering everywhere on what should be done about this. Some states are more complimentary. Some states only do partial. Some states do none. You need to pay attention to this. For example, take California and Montana. If that were you, oh my goodness, and they actually charged in both states, that means you could have state income tax at the top level of 16.38%. And yes, sir, yes, ma'am, that is before your federal level of taxation. Ouch! That one just hurts. That one really just hurts to even think about. And on that note, we've seen just like this rapid boom in these areas like Billings, Montana. I know Montana so well. Obviously, we have several families that we get to work with up there, and my husband's family's up there. And these areas are just simply booming. And cautionary tale I heard from just a huge real estate company here recently was, once this is starting to get figured out, these whiffs of that you are going to be paying double taxation, some of this actually may reverse. People go home, or they may stay, and then the employment market works up. They're not sure what opens up. They're not sure what's going to happen. But this is a shock and awe. And some of this was waived during COVID, so it wasn't felt or really hasn't been felt because they haven't filed their taxes yet. Okay, so anyway, let's go to the next dollar ding in a post-pandemic America. Number 2, nothing has changed except the cool, crisp mountain air, right? Well, now we know about the taxes and your health insurance. So a lot of remote employees are learning the hard way that their company benefits aren't covered the way they should be in a new state. Remember, insurance is in state laws. They comply with their state laws. There's not like some federal insurance, and even the interstate insurance is really kind of a misnomer to what it actually is. So you need to make sure if your insurance is through an insurer in another state that you are covered for what you think you are, because you may only be covered for emergencies. You may not be covered if you were to get ill and you need to go see specialists or doctor's office visit for that matter. Whatever it is you think is on your policy, you better take a second look. Otherwise, it could be a big, big dollar ding in a post-pandemic America. And yes, I have saved the best for last as usual, right? We've been through talking about convenience dollar dings. We've talked about retirement dollar dings. We've talked about going virtual and living in a different state dollar dings in regard to health insurance and your taxes. So that actually made up 2. And then number 1. So back to the comment that, a lot of people just decided to throw in the towel, retire, sell the ranch, sell whatever. That's actually a saying, right? Sell the ranch. But in reality, that's happened. And a lot of people are turning around and buying investment properties. And you buy them maybe in a state that you don't live. So let's say, for example, you buy an investment property in the state of Utah, but you live in Arizona. Well, it might be a good idea to check that net return that you think you're going to get again. And the reason I say that is because you could be paying, again, 2 state income tax liabilities every single year. Because Utah, the property's there. Don't you think if the income's derived there, they're going to want their fair share? And if you live in Arizona and you're an Arizona resident, aren't they going to want their fair share? So make sure you understand how the laws work with those interstate deals. You can often go to your accountant. Obviously, we have Briscoe and Associates as a resource for that too, to be able to look at each state and how they interact. But that's extremely important before you go to actually making a huge investment. I'd say one of the most important things to look at is the taxation on it. So, and then I didn't mention this, which is maybe even bigger. It is bigger. When you go to sell that property that you are probably getting to depreciate over years, and there's a huge gain in it, maybe low basis, no basis gain in that property, you actually are going to pay 2 state levels of income tax at that point too. Ooh, I actually went through that with a client a couple years ago. Not so fun at all. So the reality is this, is there are hidden dollar dings when it comes to change. And don't think change is without need for research, due diligence, and working with your professionals and making sure that you're asking the questions that you don't know to ask. We're always saying you don't know what you don't know. And that's so true. Often people just do it anyway and then ask for forgiveness. Well, there's no one to ask for forgiveness here except for your own pocketbook. So it might be worth the while. With that note, my name is Angela Robinson with Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group in Eastland, Texas. We pray everyone has had a wonderful Independence Day and is having a wonderful summer, getting to enjoy a little bit of a post-pandemic summer, if nothing else, with family and friends. God bless you all, and thank you for joining Life Planning 101.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services. If you have questions, you can email them to lifeplanning@kennedy-financial.com. Don't forget to learn how our sister company can assist you with all of your tax, bookkeeping, and consulting needs. You can find out more at briscoeandassociates.com. Be sure to tune in next week for more Life Planning 101. The opinions expressed herein are those of the firm and are subject to change without notice. The opinions referenced are as of the date of publication and are subject to change due to changes in the market or economic conditions and may not necessarily come to pass. Any opinions, projections, or forward-looking statements expressed herein are solely those of the author, may differ from the views or opinions expressed by other areas of the firm, and are only for general informational purposes as of the date indicated. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Smart Money Group LLC. Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group LLC are separate entities and are not owned or controlled by Calton & Associates Incorporated.